Hello everyone, we are from the 7th group. We would like to do presentation and we would like to share to you the material. And the material of the day is about government expenditure. First of all, we will to introducing ourselves. I am Claudia Yurika Meliani Uli.
Everyone, my name is Rosana Hani Kristika Nomeseo.
My name is Heldi Bili.
Okay, I will start my presentation. I will start from background of the paper. Today, world economic life is experiencing adversity in responding to this. Countries in the world outline a variety of economic policies to get out of a different crisis. The economic policy taken is very influential on the life of a country. One element of government policy in terms of government spending, things we need to understand about government spending. Next, problem formulation. Point 1. What is government expenditure? Point 2. What are the types of government expenditure? 3. What are the cases on government spending? Next, purpose of the paper. Point 1. Explain the government's economic intervention and function. 2. Understand the basis of government expenditure theory. 3. Describe the expenditure of the Indonesian government. 4. Explain the factor that cause increased government spending.
I will the presentation government expenditure. What is the government expenditure? Government spending is a government policy regarding expenditure to finance program was expenditure are aimed at the welfare of service as a whole. Government spending in real terms can be used as an indicator to the amounts of government activity financed by government spending. The larger and more government activity, the bigger the government spending generates. In market economy theory, government spending consists of three main parts that can classified as below. Point 1. Government spending on the purchase of goods and services. Point 2. Government expenditure on employees' salaries. Change in employees' salaries have an influence on macro process economy, where gains in employee salaries will affect the level in indirection request. Point 3. Government spending on transfer payment. Transfer payment are not purchase of goods service by the government in the good market, but rather recon payment offer the right to citizens, which includes, for example, payment for subsidy or direct assistance to various group of the people, pension payment, interest payment for governance loans to the community. Micro theory. The purchase of the micro theory of the development of government spending is to analyzing the factor that led to the demand for public goods and the factor that influenced the availability of public goods. The interaction between demand and supply for public goods determine the amounts of public goods that will be provided to the budget. The amounts of public goods that will be provided will lead to a demand for other goods. Types of government expenditure. Point 1. Central government expenditure. State and regional expenditure are used for the process administration the central regional government as well as implementing finance balance between the central and regional governments. Point 2. Local government expenditure. Regional expenditure are expenditure that are distributed to the regional government to be included in the relevant regional income. Central government spending by type of expenditure. Point 1 personal expense. Point 2 payment of debt interest. Point 3 groceries. Point 4 subsidy. Point 5 capital expenditure. Point 6 grand shopping.
Type regional government expenditure. 1. Profit sharing fund. 2. General allocation fund. 3. Special allocation fund. 4. Special autonomy fund. Profit sharing fund. Revenue sharing fund is a fund sourced from TIB income which is allocated to the region based on a certain percentage figure to fund the needs of the region in the context of implementing decentralization. 2. General allocation fund is a number of funds allocated to its autonomous region in Indonesia annually is development fund. 3. Special allocation fund is an allocation from the state revenue and expenditure budget to certain province regency cities with the aim of funding special activity which are the affairs of the regional government and in accordance with national priority. 4. Special autonomy funds are funds allocated to finance the implementation of special autonomy of a region.
I will discuss the case of government expenditure. The case of government spending in Banten, Indonesia. Government expenditure consists of direct spending and indirect spending. If viewed from the proportion in Table 1, on average, 50.86% of Banten government expenditures is allocated from direct expenditure, while the remaining 40.13% is used from indirect expenditure. Although the proportions are not far apart, according to research by Lerena Chakiri and friends, 2014. Government expenditure in productive sector. In this case, capital government must be aptly to have a positive impact on economic growth in an area because it is used directly related to government programs. Was includes the component of capital expenditure that is directly related of infrastructure development efforts to support economic activities. However, the phenomena that occurred in Banten shows the realization of government expenditure with a slightly larger proportion of direct expenditure has not been albeit increased the rate of economic growth. Government expenditure continues to increase, but economic growth is experiencing a slowdown, which indicates that the allocation of government expenditure, especially indirect expenditure component in which there is a capital expenditure component, has not been effective and on target. Retail to what has been described, there are several professors, studies relate to the role of government in economic growth. First, Fitrian's research 2016 shows that there are three types of government expenditure that have a positive and significant impact on real economic growth, namely broad production and spending, electricity and telephone, and agriculture tools. Second, the research of Muhammad 2017 shows that the day expenditure on land, equipment, and machinery, building and roads, irrigation and networks significant positive effect on economic growth in West Java. Three studies from Putra 2017 show that government expenditure on infrastructure has a significant effect on economic growth in West Kalimantan. Hermawati's for student 2018. So, the North Kalimantan's economic growth is influenced by spending on land and equipment and machinery based on the problems that occurred. Several objectives were set to be answered in these two, namely to provide an overview of economic growth and government expenditure in Bangladesh, and the impact of government expenditure on the output and follow evaluate aided of the Banten economy sector in the year 2010 and its effect on the economic growth of Banten in the year 2010-2017. Simulation of the impact government expenditure on economic growth in Banten in 2018 and 2019. The last one identifies the type of government expenditure in the form of capital expenditure, which has a positive and significant impact on Banten's economic growth.
Conclusion: Indonesia has become one of the fastest growing countries in the world amid crises in the United States and European Union countries. Government spending is perceived as an important factor in determining the level of output produced in the economy. Aligning with economic growth trend, government expenditure has increased in the last few years that eventually could contribute to both regional and national economic growth. This paper examines the relationship between government expenditure measured by government expenditure for capital formulation or capital expenditure and economic growth measured by regional GDP in 30 provinces in Indonesia during the period of 2007 to 2012. The result indicates that there is a positive and significant effect of capital expenditure on regional economic growth. Local government can increase economic growth by providing better access and facility to public infrastructure and increase human capital and reduce transaction costs. Better access to health and education facility can increase individuals' capacity and productivity. Furthermore, this study finds that local government can increase its regional GDP by encouraging investment, both from domestic and foreign investment. Foreign direct investment, for example, is associated with technology transfer that can increase efficiency to production. Related to individual characteristics, this study indicates that provinces in Java are growing faster than other provinces due to better infrastructure and facility. However, there is evidence that population growth increased regional GDP in Indonesia. Economic growth in developing countries like Indonesia is perceived less pro-poor and less inclusive. Thus, economic growth is necessary to be sustainable, sustained, and inclusive. The trend shows that economic growth move is in opposite direction with poverty and in line with income inequality measured by Gini ratio. Government should allocate spending to induce growth, redistribute the benefit of growth through proper expenditure, and increase job creation.